Amazing. Thank you, everyone, for joining us this evening with Pearson. And we'll be talking about all things work experience today and preparing you for any work experience opportunities that you have coming up, or even those of you that don't have a work experience just yet, but are thinking to do some. This is also going to be great preparation and insight for you as well. So before we go over to Pearson, for some of you, this might actually be your first ever event with Pathway CTM, and you're probably wondering who we are and what we do. And the main thing we do here at Pathway CTM is we help young people like yourselves, or if you're a parent, we help your children to find the right pathway for them and to kickstart their career. So essentially, we are here to be the bridge between you and employers so that you can understand more about their opportunities and hopefully start your career with them. So the different types of things that we do is that when you are registered with Pathway CTM, which you can see the QR code on the screen if you're not registered just yet, you can register as a student or as a parent. So feel free to scan that QR code. But the different things that you get access to when you are part of our program is number one, you get free employer events such as this. So that can be webinars that are virtual, but we also do in-person events. And I'll be talking about an in-person event opportunity that Pearson have coming up too. So definitely make sure you stay tuned for that as well. And we also make sure that you understand what different apprenticeship opportunities are available across the UK. So no matter where you are based, you will be able to find something local to you that you can apply directly to. And once you have applied, or if you are thinking to apply to any of the opportunities you see on our website, we are able to do one-to-one mentoring sessions with you to help you with the apprenticeship application. So we know that for a lot of you, it will be your first time submitting these types of applications or even applying to a job just in general. So we are here to coach you and guide you and help you submit the best application. And mentoring is completely free as well for you to access. So it's a great resource for you to use to build your confidence and make sure you are giving your best to anything you apply to. As well as that, if you, for any reason, don't have time for a mentoring session, we also have a lot of online employability resources for your CV, for cover letters that you can find on our website as well once you are signed into your account. And like I said before, we're going to be talking about work experience, and we also have lots of work experience opportunities on our website as well. So loads for you to get stuck into once you sign up to the program. So we work with so many different employers, and these are just to name a few. There may be some there that you recognize, like Royal Mail, British Airways, that we've worked with in the past, and AWE, who's one that's based in Reading. But we work with so many employers across the UK. So many available opportunities for you and industries for you to also get to know about. So like I said before, we've got so many free employer events that you can have a look at. So once you go into our website, find the event section that's at the top, and you can see so many different upcoming events that we have. And like I mentioned as well, we have so many different opportunities that you can easily access. You can see the description, and then when you click apply, you can apply directly to the opportunity as well. And if you're wondering, if you see an opportunity that you like, but maybe you don't really know the employer, you've never really heard about them, you can view their employer profile that helps you understand a bit about the company before you apply as well. And this is a great resource for you to understand what they do in the industry before you then go and do your own research as well. So, like I mentioned earlier, Pearson will be doing an in-person event in August, and there'll be an opportunity for you to join. And to join this event, you will have to complete the workbook. So, we will be sending this after this event, and everyone that submits their workbook and shows us that they've done the workbook will then be selecting from those people who will have a place because spaces are very limited for this event. But this is an event that will help you understand a bit more about the industry and get insights into what it's like to work at a company and the different types of roles available. So, yes, we will be sending you this information and we'll be sending you the workbook as well for you to complete to get access to that. There we go. So yeah, like I mentioned, um, so we've got that workbook available for you. And if you want to refer back to the information you hear today from today's session, you can find that on YouTube. And there's also so many other sessions that we've done with Pearson on different areas that can help you with your career search and your career development. So definitely make sure you check out the YouTube page, and all of this will be sent to you after this as well. There we go. So now I'm going to move on to Pearson, who are now going to take us through their information and their insights on work experience. So I'm going to stop sharing. And Petronella, I will pass over to you.
Should we just do an intro, Petronella, just first before we dive into that?
Yes, of course.
That'd be good just to kind of kick off. So, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for giving up your time. I know for many of you it's very busy exam time and just general kind of like school. Some of you might even have part-time roles and already have got going on work experience. So we really appreciate you taking the time to attend, and we really hope that what we're going to cover over the next 40 minutes or so is actually going to be really useful for you. Many of you will know Pearson. Some of you may even be doing some Pearson qualifications. But myself and Petronella sit within our HR global team. So Pearson are a global company. We're a FTSE 100 education and learning company. We sit within human resources, and our job really is to find the best talent and young emerging talent to join our organisation. So we sit within the early careers team and have a focus on making sure that we've got really great programs for you guys to join on things like T-level placements, apprenticeships, and internships in the long run. But one of the things that we've recently been thinking about is work experience and how we set you up for success for that, because we value giving opportunities for young people to come and join us on work experience. And we know how important it is as well for you as part of your career planning process to get as much exposure to the workplace as possible. So my name's Siobhan, I'm the early careers manager, and I'm responsible for work experience and all of those other programs that I've just spoke about. And I'm supported day to day by Petronella, who you will hear from in a minute, in supporting early careers candidates join our organisation and prepare for those kind of footsteps of moving into the world of work. Today we're going to, like I said, focus mainly on that kind of initial work experience piece that you guys might be thinking and considering at this time. We'll cover things like what is work experience and types of work experience, why it matters, what employers like Pearson are looking for and what other employers are telling me that they're looking for in young talent. How can you respond to that and prepare and make a lasting impression, and feel really set up for success in the workplace, and give you some practical tips on that as well. So I'm going to hand over to Petronella, who's going to present for the first section on work experience. So over to you.
Yep. So yeah, hello everybody, and thank you for taking up your time to join us and sort of be with us together on this session. So my name is Petronella. I'm part of the early careers team, and I support T-levels apprenticeships in the UK and in Brazil. And I just in general support the early careers team with all these other things that we encounter. So with my background, I was a former T-level student, so quite sort of close to you guys. It was sort of similar to your work experience, but the only difference was that I did 45 days of industry placement, and then I progressed onto an apprenticeship, and now I'm looking to embark my level 6 degree apprenticeship from end of August to beginning of September. So that's a little bit about me. But without further ado, let's get started with what work experience is. Why do we need it? What's the importance? Because sometimes we may be talking about work experience, but we may have forgotten what it really is, and just the basics. So when we talk about experience, what does it actually mean? So work experience, I can say, is your opportunity to step into a real professional environment and see how things work day to day, where it gives you really the chance to understand different careers, meet new people, and start building those skills that employers really, really value. And it's the chance really to get to yourself into an environment and see and explore. Um, Again, we're talking about work experience and work experience, but how can you actually get a work experience? That may be also a question that a lot of students may have. And there are two different ways that you can access work experience. It can be organized by your school as part of a structured program where the school will go and identify the employers and will set a structured work experience that you have to attend, maybe a week, maybe 2 or 3 days, depends on the length. But there's also an alternative way that you can sort of go and approach a work experience where you actually go and explore, reach out by yourself to employers, maybe using personal network like family, friends, and or even online applications. You might use LinkedIn, where a lot of professionals sit. That you might just maybe ping them and be like, "Hi, I'm looking for a work experience," and then maybe they may be able to give you the right person to get in touch with regarding work experience. Obviously, the school might still be involved to approve and check the suitability of the work experience, so you're not fully alone on this. But the positive with you going out and finding your experience yourself is that it's more flexible in timing and the type of the role. But obviously, both are great options. It depends on what opportunities are available for you out there. So, really, during your placement, what you might be expecting, what you may be doing is a bit of shadowing employers, supporting maybe small tasks or even projects. So, that is really cool. Attending meetings, see how professionals network, how they collaborate, how they work together, and really just learn different workplace tools that are used, maybe PowerPoint, Excel, Word, and all those sort of things. So, it's a great chance to enhance on your skill and learn what employers use on a daily basis. But it's really, really important before we get onto this is to understand and remember that work experience is not just about being perfect or knowing everything. It's about learning. It's a chance for you to learn, to develop, and to see how it is. So it's a chance to explore and be curious. It is a short period of time designed to help you understand what the working life is really like and explore, like I mentioned, your career, your future career options. So I would say is the first step that anybody can take to understand, is that where I see myself in the next 5, 10 years, and so on. So this is a little bit about what work experience is and so on. So we spoke about work experience, but why does it actually matter? So I can say that firstly, it helps you build confidence. I can say for sure it really helped me to build my confidence. When I first started, I was really really shy. I was not talking as much, and I know Siobhan can confirm. So but as I attended more placement day and so on, my confidence was starting to boost. I was coming in with my own ideas. I was saying, "Oh, can we actually do that?" rather than that. So I was having like an input. So yeah, building confidence. So having the ability to be in a real world work experience can feel at first new. At first, it can be difficult, but it's one of the best ways to grow and become more comfortable in your professional environment. It also gives you real examples that you can talk about in interviews later, so you can back up what you think. You can back up your statements, what you mentioned, with your communication skills, and you can give a real examples that you have done. So yeah, this is really important when you go to apply for apprenticeships, for jobs, or for other opportunities, or even university. That you have a benefit, even if you do wish to go to university. Another key benefit is that you start developing the skills employers are looking for, like communication, teamwork, problem solving, and so on. So we will touch base on a little bit more about skills later on. So hence why I'm not giving too much away. And then also, work experience helps you understand what you enjoy and just as importantly, what you might not enjoy. So you may be doing your experience in in a sort of a department, and you may understand, oh, actually, this is not what I like. I'd like to explore my options and so on. So, yep, it can really, really help you make those future career decisions. So yeah, you can see here, even a short experience can make a really big difference. So even if it's just 1 day or 2 days, that can have an impact in your future career journey. Moving forward, I sort of looked into this and I was like, oh, there's a lot of myths and versus reality. So a lot of students think that there's so many things I have to do, or there's set ways for that and so on. So I'm just going to quickly run through a few myths versus reality. And it is completely normal to have your doubts or worries. So yeah, let's go and break down some myths and see what it actually is. So a lot of students think that employers, everyone else will know exactly what they're doing, but the reality is that most people are still learning. So I am here, even Siobhan, I can see she's been in her journey, in her career journey for 20 years, and you're learning every single day. So you don't have to know everything. The purpose of this is to learn. Another common myth is that you need to be perfect, but actually employers aren't expecting perfection. They value effort, curiosity, and willingness to learn. Some students may also worry that they won't be trusted with anything important. In reality, many students get involved in meaningful tasks and can even contribute to ideas and projects. And finally, asking questions is often seen as a weakness or being inexperienced, but actually it's the opposite. Asking questions shows that you're engaged, you're interested, and eager to learn. Like I mentioned, so remember, you're not expected to know everything. You're there to learn, grow, and explore. So that's me for now. So I'm going to pass over to Siobhan, where I think she has a question. And yeah, over
Thank
to
you,
you.
Petronella. Okay, so we've sort of introduced what work experience it is to you, how you can kind of get involved in it, and then some of that kind of myths and reality. But effectively, when you're in a working environment and you have that touch point of a work experience, you are starting to see exactly what employers potentially want from individuals like yourself. You might have access to things like particular careers or job roles. So it's the kind of first taste that you get into the world of work about, what is it that I'm being asked to do? What is it that I could have as part of a career journey? What are those employability skills that I might need to be able to show up and perform in a working environment? So I just want you all, as a little task, to type in the chat what you think the skills are that employers are actually looking for in 2026 and maybe beyond. So thinking about maybe some of the skills that you might have, or you think from hearing maybe your parents or peers or guardians and teachers, what skills do you think are in demand from employers right now in 2026? So I'll just give you a couple of seconds to type in the chat. Gloria, can you see the responses? Because nothing comes through from our view.
I can't see anything at the moment. Let me just.
Don't be shy. There's no right or wrong answer to this. I mean, it's interesting that maybe you just are really worried to kind of say what you think the skills are that us employers. We're not scary, believe me. We're really encouraging. We want you to kind of engage with us. So do have a go, but we'll give you another minute. Petronella, thinking about your experience when you first came into the world of work and met with us as an employer, do you think you had an idea of what employers were looking for compared to the skills that maybe we were?
Not really, to be honest, because I think skills is something that is a really difficult topic, I would say. You may think that you have the right skills, but when you actually step into that workplace, you see this a different need of skills, like maybe your communication level, which you thought it was good, actually needed so much more work because in the workplace is so much different, maybe to high school or to college. And yeah, no, yeah,
Okay.
skills do
Okay.
change.
Well, a lot of people, when they first come in, and you've kind of touched on it there, think that you need a lot of experience. So they think that the skills that they may have, developed through kind of their school education and through their extracurricular work is very low level or junior skills, and it doesn't count. But we're not just looking about experience. We're actually looking more about your willingness to learn, your mindset, the ideas that you bring, and just basically being somebody who has got really good, strong behaviors that fit with our organization. So when you approach an organization, you might want to do work experience with them because you have a particular interest in a job role or a career in that area, or maybe the brand. For a lot of young people, it's the brand that kind of entices you, you know, it's exciting maybe, or you like their products. You don't need to know everything about that particular subset of jobs. So if you want to go into a career in law, you don't need to know the ins and outs of law at 15 or 16. You just have to have a curious mind and interest and a passion to learn further. And that's the big thing that we want to kind of myth bust here, is that yes, people think that kind of it's all about the experience, and work experience is a way to kind of get your foot in the door and kind of get that under your belt. But actually, we're really just looking for the right fit within our organizations, and some of those kind of essential kind of behaviors around communication, teamwork, collaboration are what's really important. I know at Pearson, for example, we really like people to resonate with our brand. So we're a learning company. We have a key skill that everyone should be learning to learn. We want people to constantly be evolving with the kind of the technology that we need. So having some awareness and appetite to learn things like AI skills is really important. But we're also looking for you to be things like a team player and adaptable as well. So what's really important here is that you don't need a job in the first instance to showcase the skills that you have. So for many of you, you may never have had a job until you kind of maybe start looking for apprenticeships and other kind of full-time work. And that's okay. We're not expecting you to. So you can start working on these skills now. These key employability skills that we're looking for, you can be working in your home life, in your school life, in how you kind of show up with your friends. And it's just important to kind of remember that you are building these through these hobbies and life experiences. Things like communication, you know, do you kind of put yourself forward for projects at school? Are you the person who would always shy away from maybe going to the front of the class to maybe present on a particular piece of group work that you've done? If there is a teamwork exercise, are you the one who always kind of hangs back and lets others kind of take over and kind of be the leader? Are you someone who's really good at problem solving? Do you see yourself already kind of like in your home life, kind of thinking about how you solve problems? How do you kind of organize yourself? You know, you all have got exams, you've got timetables, you've got coursework, assignments. How do you manage your time? Already that's showcasing like key organizational skills that we look for in the workplace, you know, to-do lists, all of those simple things that you might have to put in place in order to kind of make sure that you're able to kind of keep up with everything you need to do in your life is actually things that we want in your day-to-day employment life as well. Adaptability. I mean, you guys have been through quite a lot in the last few years as the kind of students who have come through like the pandemic, and all the change that's happening in the world as well, like thinking about even how we show up at work, AI, the technology changes. How do you kind of adapt and flex to them? How open are you to those changes? How curious are you around that kind of like adaptability? Positive attitude. You don't need to be in work right now to be showcasing that. You're doing that kind of every day in kind of how you show up just generally and present yourself to others. Reliability. You know, if you're going to say you do something, are you known as the person who kind of, if you say you're going to take on a piece of work, you will hand it in on the deadline? Will you support others if you say that you're willing to take over and do a piece of work? That's again a key kind of trait that we look for our team leaders, that when we say we're going to do something in Pearson, we have got that trusted brand behind us, that we stay true to our name and we do what we say we will. So reliability again is a great skill to be bringing to organizations and to be developing right now. And one of the things I just wanted to call out, it's one that critical thinking is one of the main skills that we're seeing from this generation that are coming through. That's actually, there is a gap. There's been a lot of research recently around whether or not there is actually a gap, or is it that just young people are not leaning into their creative thinking skills with the changes in technology. Maybe we're over-relying a little bit on things like AI and we're not using our own mental kind of capacity and critical thinking enough. So it's about balancing the use of some of these tech resources that we have, but also making sure that we keep that kind of key skill of critical thinking ourselves. So all of these skills you're developing now and will extend into things like work experience. Next slide, please, Petra. So recognizing your strengths. And I think this is about giving you confidence as you approach things like work experience, approaching them in maybe organizing a placement yourself, or approaching them as you kind of know that you might be moving towards going into a work experience setting very soon. I know that just on the poll that you guys just did, over 52% of you have said that you're somewhat ready for work experience. And the very fact that you're on this webinar shows that you're being proactive around your kind of readiness to kind of embrace work experience and actually undertake it. Whereas there's about 25% of you that aren't ready, or you're not sure. And that's where I want to give you a little bit of confidence in, it's okay not to be sure. It's okay that you haven't got all this worked out, but recognize that you do already possess some of the strengths that will stand you in good stead when you walk through the doors of your work experience employers in the coming weeks and months. So if you're involved in school projects, which I'm sure you're doing all the time as part of your studies, you are already easily demonstrating teamwork and communication. So maybe what you need to think about is, what's the role that you play in those school projects? How can you articulate how you show up in teamwork and those types of kind of group settings, so that you can really understand what your kind of strength is when you come into work experience settings? Because you might be asked, do you like to work independently? Do you like to work on as part of a group? And it's good if you kind of know just generally what you enjoy doing. It will make the experience better as well for the team, who can help set situations up or activities up that are going to really play to your strengths. Sports, for example, really kind of showcase resilience and that kind of leadership style as well. So are you the coach? Are you the person who kind of organizes the kind of actual kind of activities around getting to the sports and things like that, and showcasing leadership skills, which is fantastic. And what you need to think about is, you are the future leaders of organizations like Pearson. So don't just think about yourself joining us at that very kind of entry route. We think of you about our emerging talent for the future CEO of our company, the future person running our finance and our HR organizations. Those key positions start from somebody who comes in quite strong and has these skills that they're developing and working on throughout their career. So see yourself as that kind of future emerging talent, and how you've already started through your life building up these key work and employability skills. Gaming. I mean, I'm sure lots of you on this call, if not you or others you'll know, will be kind of maybe into gaming, or, you know, digesting kind of content online. Again, it's all about problem solving, teamwork. One of the key things that we advocate for in extension to work experience is volunteering activities. They can be really enjoyable from a giving back sense. So Petronella and the team and myself, we do a lot of volunteering in Pearson, where we give our employees 5 days a year to volunteer on activities that they have an interest in. And it's a two-way thing, that person gets to go out and help a charity or a school, for example, but actually they also get quite a lot of it because they tap into an area that's outside of their working day. So even if volunteering is not something you thought about before, it is something worth considering. And here you can see it kind of shows that you're getting kind of responsibility, because when you go into those sessions in volunteering, often you're the person who has to kind of do everything. So you're seen as the expert. When myself and Petronella have gone in and volunteered to speak in schools or on sessions like this, you are put in a bit of a power of trust kind of situation, where people look to you as the expert. And it can be quite nice, because you're actually seeing also the response of people from you giving back time, and they kind of appreciate that. So volunteering is another great way to kind of showcase and develop skills. Caring for siblings, helping out at home, doing, you know, chores, all of that shows like organizational skills, patience, having to kind of do things sometimes that we don't always love doing, just because that's part of life. And there will be aspects of job roles that we're not always going to love as much as other parts of the job role. And that's just something also when you're on work experience to kind of pull out as well, is that you ask lots of questions about what people in those organizations like about their jobs and what they don't. So you're gathering a lot of information to make a real informed decision about your future. And then, yeah, any clubs and societies, any of that extracurricular things that you're doing, you're definitely developing those communication and teamwork skills, which of all of the skills we talk about today, communication, teamwork, resilience, leadership, these ones that we've pulled out here are the top skills that employers are looking for. And we've also just shown how you're already on the road to developing them in readiness to join our organisation and to take them further. Bringing those skills to life then, this is where it all comes together. So if it's one thing to have skills, but what really matters is how you show them in real life situations. So this is where the work experience again kind of comes into its own, because you're being given the exposure and ability to actually put the skills into practice. So communication, Petronella will be a great example of when she first approached us to do her T-level placement. She was so curious. She was asking lots of questions. She was communicating with us in a way that she was showing that she really had a passion for the work that we did at Pearson. So she was resonating with our brand. We could see almost her personality coming through quite quickly because of the way that she was communicating and just so keen. So I know for some people it can be really daunting when you first come into an organisation to ask questions. When you're unsure, you think it's a silly question. You know, at your stage in your career, there really is no silly question. Organisations and work experience teams are there really to kind of help you grow. So the more you ask questions and the more you kind of engage with them, you're going to learn more. So I can't really encourage you enough to just communicate, come in each day. I know it can feel daunting, but if you go to make yourself a drink in the open areas in the offices, maybe you're in the kitchen or you're walking through the corridors and you're in the lift, if someone asks you a question about if you're on work experience, be polite, answer them back, ask them what they did in their job, how long they've worked for the organisation, why did they choose to work for the organisation, why did they choose to get into that particular job role. So just being curious and open to asking lots of questions. Teamwork, again, being helpful, nominating yourself, throwing yourself in to complete a task. And I'm sure you do this already day to day, but again, during the work experience, that's something that you can showcase. And again, as part of the work experience, you might be able to get like a reference or some sort of referral and feedback. And it'd be great if you can kind of showcase as many of these skills so you have also that endorsement. Problem solving, there'll be lots of things during the work experience exposure that you can bring these skills to life in terms of problem solving. It's all going to be quite new to you. So you'll be constantly having to kind of like think of new solutions. And as Petronella has said before, we do get you involved in Pearson when you're on work experience on like meaningful, real work. So we throw you in at the deep end and we really, really welcome your ideas because you're going to have different ideas. You know, some of these younger ideas and the new generation will have things that maybe we've never even thought of. So don't discount kind of your problem solving abilities and the way that you can help teams in finding solutions. Organizational skills, again, these are the kind of the basics that, you know, we'll cover in a minute around making sure that you can kind of adhere to deadlines, that you show up when you're meant to be, and you're using your planning skills to do that. Next slide, please, Petronella. Adaptability, we've talked about this. Adaptability might be not a skill that you've heard too much about. It's one that's really coming to the forefront at the moment, just because of the way the changing nature of work is moving so quickly with AI and automation and the new job roles and skills that we need. So being adaptable and trying new tasks is something we're throwing all of our colleagues and employees in Pearson into. So you're very naturally in a place where right now you're coming in and having to try new tasks that you've never done before. So it's just about how do you feel in those situations? How comfortable are you with that? And how could you set yourself up for success to be a lot more adaptable in the future? Because it's going to be a skill that employers want. In terms of that positive attitude, can't really stress this enough, like attitude and kind of behaviors are so key for employers these days. I mean, we talk a lot about it's great that when you achieve your qualifications and you come out with those technical abilities, we are looking for top talent to have that. But alongside that, we really want people to have the attitudes and behaviors that we can work with in a work setting. So that, you know, coming with energy, being engaged, showing up and being willing to kind of like take on what is given to you in a work environment is really important. It can be daunting. It can be scary sometimes, but if you kind of approach things with a positive attitude and you just say, look, I'm not perfect. I haven't done this before. I'll give it a go. That can come across really well in a work setting. Reliability, like I said, that's a huge one for Pearson, just because of who we are. We have got such a trusted brand. You know, you guys are doing our exams in many cases, and you've got that date in your diary for results day, and it's so important that we get the results out to everyone on time, accurately, that the quality of how we work with your schools and colleges is at a really high level. So reliability for us, you know, if you say that you're going to be in, being in, showing up, and following everything we've said to do carefully is important. And then that all important critical thinking one, where I'm giving you a little bit of a snapshot into world of skills for the future. And this is one that is a little bit on the decrease, and we want to see more of this coming back into our workplaces. So if you can bring that skill and throw yourself into kind of critical thinking more and more, you will definitely be kind of putting yourself ahead of others when you come to join the workplace. Petronella.
Yep, so I'll take over now for a couple of slides. So we have spoken about what work experience is so far. We have spoken what skills employers are looking for. How can I bring those skills? Do I already have the skills? How can I further develop? But we also want to touch base about preparing for your placement. I know it can be scary. Sometimes you may not know what to expect. You may not know what employers are wanting you to do or what to prepare beforehand. So it is quite good that we're here and can give you quite an insight to what employers are looking for so you can make a really good first impression. So preparation is a key to your placement, really. It really helps reduce those nerves and it just sets you up for success for your first day. One of the best things that you can do is research the company. I think there was a question in the Q&A regarding, do I need to do some background research about the company? Do I need to know what the company does? Well, the answer is yes. You need to know, you need to have a really good sort of idea of what the company is, maybe competitors if you want to do that further step, who the competitors are. Are they working on a specific project at the moment? Can I come in and, I've done my research. Oh, we can actually do this to improve this, maybe this product or maybe this project, if you have access to those kind of informations. So do you take some time to understand what they do, what industry they're in, and whether their culture, what the culture might be, what to expect, and so on. So you can, develop or adapt when you get there. It is also really, really important to plan ahead. Make sure you know your schedule, where you need to be, and know how you're going to get there. I had a really lovely T-level student where he planned his journey ahead. So what they did is that they came in a day beforehand just to plan out the journey to see, the tube, the train, what buses are available. So he took his own initiative to come in to prepare the journey beforehand. So make sure you know where the location is, and you know how to get there. This really just helps avoid any last minute stress or worry or just having the chance of even getting lost, which sometimes can happen if you haven't been doing as much traveling around London, because I know it's quite busy sometimes. It's also, and finally, set yourself some personal goals. I think it is really, really good just to give you that target. I want to do this by the end of my placement. It's just going to boost that curiosity even further, the adaptability, like building those skills and so on. Think what you want to learn and which skills you want to develop during a placement so you can work towards that goal. A little bit of preparation, I can say, can make a really big difference in how confident and how comfortable you will feel on your first day. So these are just a couple of hints that just to set you off and prepare for your placement. So this is about it. I know there's many, many more, but research and just explore it depending on what organization, depending on your placement and what you'll be doing there as well. Moving forward is how can you make a strong first impression? I know that your first day is really important and sometimes it can be scary as well, but it really does set the tone for your entire experience. So I would say start by being on time or even a little bit earlier. That is just perfect. You allow yourself enough time to get there and just arrive on time. It really just shows professionalism, and that you take the opportunity really seriously, and you show that you care, and it is a really important sort of step in your career. Make sure you dress appropriately and present yourself in a way that matches the work experience, the workplace environment. If you're not entirely sure what maybe the dress code is, just reach out to maybe the person you're being in contact with regarding your experience, and just confirm, so you just feel more safe and you feel comfortable walking in the office, or depending on the setup. I would say next is to be polite, respectful, professional. That really just goes a long way. And really just don't forget to introduce yourself confidently. Sometimes you may just step into there and you may even forget your name or how stressed you are. So sometimes maybe just things, simple things can make really big difference. Just hi, my name is. It is really lovely to meet you. Nice to meet you. Or even I'm really excited to be here and to learn and to develop. Make sure that you leave a really, really good, positive first impression. I remember first impressions are built on attitude, not just being perfect. So the way you come there, your attitude that you present really just leave an impact, and it sort of sets the tone for your work experience and what is to come along. So that's what about first impressions, and think about it. Think maybe plan practice maybe with a parent or a guardian or a friend, how you want to introduce yourself and how you want to look and what you want to express and deliver. So that can even help a little bit if you're really, really sort of that person that panics or stresses in the moment. Moving forward is during your placement. So we have spoken about preparation, first impression, and now going on to what can you actually do during your work experience, to make sure that you do the most of it, and so on. So once you are in your placement, it's all about making the most of your experience. One really, really helpful tip is to keep track of what you do. Maybe write down what you worked on, what you learned, and maybe any feedback you have received. This will really, really help you later on when when you're talking about your experience in maybe applications or interviews, or even if you want to update your LinkedIn account and you want to write a description of what you did. It will just help you summarize what you learned, what skills you have developed, and who you are, as what you have gained as a person. So that is really good, just to take a note what you've done and what you have achieved. Even during your placement, try to be as curious as possible. Ask tons of questions. Show interest. Take opportunities to learn. I know sometimes you may think one question is enough or two questions is enough, but to be honest, I don't think even 100 questions would have been enough, because you're there to learn and to, you're trying to steal as many insights and as much as information as possible, because it is a placement and your time is quite limited. So the more questions you ask, the better outcome it is for you, and the more you develop. Don't be afraid to volunteer for tasks or even take initiative when appropriate. So staying engaged and focused shows that you're motivated, making the most of this opportunity. It's also really important to remain respectful, to be professional at all times, and to communicate clearly with the people you're working with. Overall, the more you put into the experience, the more you get out of it. So it really just depends on you as you as a student, what you put into the work experience and what you can gain out of it. Now I'm going to pass over to Siobhan.
Actually, just leave it on that slide for 1 second. There's just one thing I just wanted to pick up about. Please do bring your kind of authentic self to the work experience. So if you do have any accessibility needs or learning difficulties or disabilities, please do be honest about those so that employers can help you. So if you have any accessibility needs, the kind of early you can let the contact that you might be dealing with or your school contact know, that would just make you feel more comfortable and set up for work experience, the better, because we are here to help all employees. We have lots of services in employers, from mental health first aiders, health and safety advocates. We have access to counsellors, safeguarding officers. So we have all of that set up as large employers especially, and some SMEs will have also that accessibility arrangements as well. So we want you to feel most comfortable when you come to work experience. So making the most of it is also kind of being honest about what you need from an accessibility point of view as well. Okay, next slide. Thank you, Petra. So we've talked quite a lot about skills that you might be developing now that you can kind of work on further as you're in industry and doing work experience. So the whole point of work experience, and when we speak to students, is from when they start on a work experience, even if it's just a one day, to be honest, from when they start in the morning to when they leave, the key thing that they talk about is about how they feel their confidence is increased as a kind of a result of any type of insight or interaction with employers. So building confidence is a huge part of what we do during work experience. It's totally normal to feel nervous at the start. I think we said that it means you care, you're invested in it. I mean, it's taking time out of your life, and it's quite a big deal. You know, it might be something that will actually spearhead a future career, maybe even with that employer that you've done work experience with. So in order to help build that confidence, focus on learning while you're with us. Every day is a learning day, even for me. I'm learning all the time, and we want that. Pearson, especially, we're a learning company, but that kind of focus on learning and willingness to further learn is important. We often hear from some students who are on work experience that they're ready for a break after doing things like A levels or T levels, and they want to come to work for a break. That's probably not what we see work to be. It's definitely not a break. It can be hard every day showing up and doing a job, but we want people to see learning as integral to kind of being an employee of the future, really, because the way the world of work is changing and the way we bring you on a journey as part of an employee in a company is that you're always learning. So nobody's perfect, and that's part of kind of building that confidence through trial and error, really. And we're open with our staff as well about giving things a go. You know, that's kind of our attitude. And if you fail, it's fine. You learn from it and then you move on. So that's not just for young work experience students. That's kind of how we build that into our capability and development for our normal employees. So just be aware that we're not looking for perfection. Celebrate the small wins each day, and that can come from that reflection piece that Petronella talked about. So making kind of you'll have like a schedule, hopefully, of kind of your days and what you're going to be working on and what teams you might be shadowing, and at the end of those days putting some time in for reflective practice, because if you go home you do forget everything you've achieved in that week, and sometimes it can be quite a lot in terms of skills, activities, and just documenting them and having a reflection on them can be really important. And then you can bring that back and celebrate with your peers as well, because that showcases and gives you a bit more confidence that you're talking about what you've learned as well. Please ask for help when needed. We're here as part of work experience on hand. Managers, mentors will always kind of be available during work experience time. So don't be afraid to ask for help. Often we learn from you asking for help that maybe the things we're asking you to do, maybe the instructions weren't clear. Maybe we've not given you access to everything you need. So often it's not even you asking for help. It's about just the way that things have maybe been presented. So it's a two-way thing that we learn from you also asking for help about when you're on work experience. Remind yourself you've earned this opportunity. So for many of you, you may have even had to have like a job interview or some sort of kind of like call in order to gain the work experience. I know for things like T-level placements, that's the case with us. You'd actually have to go through like a rigorous interview process. So to get onto that work experience, even sometimes unpaid, you have to go through that process. So remind yourself that, you know, give yourself a pat on the back for being so proactive and putting yourself forward for these opportunities. And I like this little confidence formula. Preparation, which Petronella and I love, a bit of prep from candidates, just showing that you've spent a bit of time researching, understanding a bit about the organisation, maybe you're joining, the job role, even the team, showing that curiosity and then putting it into practice when you're on work experience can really help that confidence building. Next slide. So standing out to employers, then, I know for a lot of you on work experience, this is kind of the key thing. You may even be thinking long term, I'd love to stay and work at that organisation, or down the line, it's a company I want to keep in touch with. And work experience is a great way to do that. Once you've kind of made that connection with HR colleagues and a team, you can often kind of keep that engagement going. So think about how you just basically show that enthusiasm, so that attitude, that willingness, positivity. Employers want that. That's the number one kind of thing that we're looking for. It's about being open to feedback. So again, showing that you're willing to learn. You're eager to kind of maybe find out more about what's coming up with the company, so keeping in touch, showing genuine interest. I mean, not maybe even just in that business, but maybe in the sector. So if you've got a particular area that you're looking to move into, it might be science or business, how you're kind of keeping abreast of kind of the latest trends and things that are coming out in that area. Just shows how you're kind of really passionate about that area, which is what we are looking for the future. And yeah, basically just help your team. And if you're going to say you're going to do something, try and do it. Even if it's not perfect, it's to the best of your ability. It shows that you've really kind of, been trusted to do something and you've actually done it. So staying true to your word and putting your best effort in, that's really important. You don't need to be the smartest. You just need to be the most engaged. I think that was a little quote there at the thing. And that is definitely true. I think there's this kind of fear, especially with younger people, that they are not good enough or not smart enough or didn't get the grades, and it really holds you back. If you take away anything from today, it's about, tomorrow's a new day. If you haven't thought about work experience, or you haven't been proactive and you're on this webinar because a teacher has told you, or your parents or peers, start from tomorrow. Start owning your own journey around your career. And one of the key things to do is, if you just don't know where to start, is getting exposure to work experience in different employers and sectors to kind of see if there's something that might excite you. And then you will probably see more of the proactiveness and willingness to want to do things if you think you're going to enjoy it. Next slide, Petra. And one of the biggest things people struggle with is talking about their experience afterwards. Like, we find that people maybe just do the work experience and then go back and then they're busy with their studies. And you just kind of maybe lose touch of kind of like what you really gained. And that's why the reflection piece is really important. So making sure that you reflect on the week of the work experience. If you're over 16, you can maybe do a post on LinkedIn. So if you do something great, shout about it, show the impact that you've made. Try and explain what your role was within a particular thing that might have gone well in work experience week. What did you do? What did you learn? And what skills did you build? So I supported a project where I took the lead, or I showcased critical thinking skills, or I found a new way of doing things more efficiently, or automated something. Using it very simply, breaking it down, and giving examples of how you might have worked as a team, what you did, what you learned, and how you've improved something. Really important. And it helps you for the future when you go for future job interviews or exposure to employers, that you're starting to build a little bit of a competency portfolio of your own skills, and you've been able to give examples as well. And after your work experience, what comes next? So that reflection piece. If you do have formal systems within colleges and schools, I know a lot of your work experience advisors will be making sure that you document this. The key thing also to work out is what you've learned. What you've learned and what you enjoyed, what didn't you enjoy, which is one of the things I think when I think back about my work experience a long, long time ago, I think if anything, I walked away with more ammunition and information about what I didn't like from my work experience, that then helped me kind of think about my future career. So making notes of them, that can be really helpful. If you've not started a CV, start a CV and add those skills. So examples, talking about your experiences. I worked as part of a team, I developed my communication skills. Like I said, do ask for little references or quotes from managers that you might have worked with, because that can also be added to things like LinkedIn. And stay connected to the people that you work with. A simple thank you goes a long way. And just keeping in touch with them really afterwards, especially if it was something you really enjoyed. Keeping that engagement with the teams that you've been in. Email them, maybe if you're in, you've got another year back at school, talking about opportunities that might be coming up, and just keeping them abreast about how you're doing, because they're invested in you as well. For all the work experience students that we work with, Petra and I, we always keep in touch and kind of want to find out where they've gone on to, because we've been part of your journey. Okay, I know we've got very little time left for questions. That's everything from me. We'd love to hear from you. So I think we've got a couple of questions, do we, Gloria?
Yes, we've got a few, and I can ask them, and either yourself or Petronella can answer. So we had a good question that said, how would you make yourself more comfortable in a work experience environment so I could be able to speak freely without being anxious?
Oh, Petronella's been so close to this recently as she's come in. I'm going to give that one to you, and then I'll pitch in.
As a person, I think sometimes it can be hard to get yourself out of your shell or being confident. And there's not any sort of specific, or you have to do that in order to gain your confidence. Everybody works differently, everybody is different. Sometimes you just have to understand that you're not being judged because I know confidence comes from judgment because you may be scared, you may ask the wrong question, or you may do something wrong. So knowing that, not any question, a question is not a stupid question, or so any you can ask any questions. It is okay. So just, you have to have the mindset, I'm okay, I'm here to learn. If I don't ask questions, I'm not going to learn. If I don't do that, I'm not going to learn. So just keep that thing at the back of your head. I'm here to learn and I'm not being judged. I'm being surrounded by professionals. They choose to select me for this work experience in order to help me develop, in order to help me learn. So just making sure it's really your mindset, because as long as you have the right mindset, you will feel comfortable and confident in your experience. So just think about it. You're here to learn. No, you're not being judged, and ask those questions. Just make that first step. So once you have asked the first question and the second question, all the rest of things will just naturally come up to you, and it will just help you boost that confidence.
Thank you so much. That was a great answer. Siobhan, I don't know if you had anything to add there.
No, just around we talked about some of the other activities that kind of maybe come prior to doing work experience. So leaning in more to those hobbies and the school environment. If you naturally are someone who doesn't really like presenting or communicating in large groups and public speaking, and that's why you might be holding back from asking questions during a work experience setting, then giving yourself some exposure to that prior to even joining. So I don't know, just really kind of maybe pushing yourself out of your comfort zone and asking your teacher for a bit of help about how you can have a bit more confidence in, maybe your language skills or your ability might be holding you back. So asking for help as well if that's something that challenges you.
Thank you so much. There's a question that said, are these work experience opportunities only limited to one location, or will there be opportunities for people all over the country?
So at Pearson, our main vehicle for work experience is our T-level placement program. So we offer T-level placements in our Manchester and London offices in digital T-level and also management and administration. And the individuals on those programs get to join us for their full 315 hours, 45 days of placement. We do the work experience through companies a bit like yourself at Pathway CTM, and we have the opportunity for the Industry Insight Day in August for people to join us. So we don't have a huge work experience program. We're looking at developing more opportunities for people to come and join us on work experience. But I would always say, first and foremost, reach out to your careers advice teams within colleges and school setting, and really showcase any eagerness that you have for a particular area of work or a sector or a particular career area. And they should be able to help you with employers in your local area as well. We hope that more and more employers are offering work experience again, and we're seeing more face-to-face work experience. So hopefully more opportunities are coming for students as well to come into our offices.
Thank you so much. And just to like add on to that, for any year 12 or year 13 students, we have so many work experiences on our website. We even have some that are paid as well for a few days. I know there's some on there right now, so definitely go and take a look. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us when we send you an email after this as well. Yeah, I know we've gone over time, but we'll do one final question, which says, are there any tips and suggestions on how to maintain the professional relationships you've made during the work experience?
Yes. And there will be guidance from your school or college on this as well. So from a safeguarding point of view, we're really kind of clear with our teams around any kind of contact with students. So it will be through formal channels, usually through the school. And if you're 16 plus, you can connect with our professionals on LinkedIn. Often as well, we'll have connections via email, but that will also ensure that a teacher or a parent or guardian, if someone is under 16, is copied into that. So again, it's about seeking guidance from your school and college kind of in terms of their policy on connection with the work experience post placement, and also just making sure you ask those questions when on work experience about how that organisation wants to keep in touch with you after your work experience, just to keep within the professional boundaries of that organisation.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Gloria and team.
Everything.
Thank you everyone for attending, and a lot of you stayed on a little bit after as well, which is fantastic. We really appreciate any feedback that you can give for the sessions. We are an evolving early careers team within Pearson, and we do lots of programs, so we're always striving to make sure that we keep these sessions up to date and relevant for what students want from employers. So any feedback that you give is really welcomed.
Yes, and the feedback link is in the chat box, so please make sure you take a look at that and submit that, and it only takes about 2 minutes. So yeah,
we hope to see some of you in person at our Strand office in August. We're looking forward to opening our doors to that Insight event and meeting as many students on that day. So that'd be really great.
Thank you so much.
Thanks
So
very much,
once you
everyone.
feedback, feel free to jump off. But thank you so much, and hope to see some of you in August.
Thank you, everybody.
Good night. Thanks, everyone.
Hopefully. Thanks, Tula. I'm going to end it there.